land I was born, and also to the Mohawk people on whose land I now call home. Okay, so can we just talk about the name of this event, Stardust? I just love it. Through that one word, we're all connected, like all of us that's watching here today or that's at the event. And I just wanted to give a quick explanation of how that actually is. Most of our bodies are made of water, which is hydrogen and oxygen, as most of you know. These molecules were created in the early universe. Our bodies also have heavier elements like copper and zinc, and those were created in the dying stages of an exploding star called a supernova. And all of these elements that make up our bodies actually eventually became part of our planet Earth, and that is the matter that we're actually made of. And all of that matter is what connects us through a cosmic cellular history. We're all equal in diversity, and I'm so happy to be here today, hopefully inspiring some of tomorrow's space leaders from dreams to reality. So let's get started. When I was really little, I loved being in the forest, running wild and free. I felt really connected to everything around me. And I guess in a way, I knew we were all made of stardust. The trees, the wind, the stillness of the wind of the wild, the stillness of the wild really, really felt close to my heart. My family actually had a cottage in the middle of the forest, really, really deep into the forest. And we spent lots of time there. I could spend hours and hours lying in fields of grass, um, or in my backyard back at home, watching the clouds go by during the day. And then at night, the stars twinkle. The nights were really dark at the cottage, obviously in the middle of the forest, right? And so much so that I actually couldn't see my own two hands, which meant that the sky was also really, really dark. I could actually see our galaxy, the Milky Way. Looking into the really dark parts of the sky, into the vastness of space, I would always wonder, like, how far am I actually looking? Is it infinite? Does it keep going forever? And then one question led to another, which would then turn into the questions that we all have. Why am I here? Who am I? And that is a perpetual question that keeps coming back and back again in my life as I go through my career or just my personal life. So at that time when I was really little, I didn't really know astronomy was a thing. But when I started school, I realized that I love to learn. Like I just love to learn anything. I asked a lot of questions. I was reading tons of books, just learning anything on any subject. And I especially loved solving problems, like any kind of problem. Somebody had a problem with, a friend. I love trying to find solutions to practically anything. And that love for solving problems and finding solutions turned into my love for math. My parents were super strict about school and grades, and they always told me science was the most important to focus on because it leads to everything else, which honestly nowadays I'm not quite sure that's true, but that's what they that's what they thought, and that's what I grew up sort of, I guess, believing because I didn't have anybody, well, not that many other people that spoke to me about careers in my future. But luckily for me, I enjoyed school and science. um, but like I said, excuse me, either way, I'm not sure I would have had the choice. um, so in high school, I watched a show called Stargate SG-1. It's a sci-fi show. I'm not sure if some of you might know it, but we all watch TV, right? And when we watch TV and we're little and we're older, there's always these specific characters that we feel kind of connected to. Either it's the way they speak or the way they act or their color, or it could be anything, but we always feel connected to a specific character. And that character for me that I loved, her name was Samantha Carter, and she's a military officer and a theoretical astrophysicist. And when I heard that profession, like theoretical astrophysicist, I had this really strange feeling, almost like I knew what was coming. I really saw myself in her. And now looking back in hindsight, I understand that feeling kind of was, maybe my future self saying, "Hey, like that's going to be you later on, or someone like you." Um, but at the time, I just remember feeling something in my heart that was warm and happy. And that's the only sign I really got. Fast forward a few years, I registered to university in science. Um, I didn't really know which one I liked more. So in my first year, I did pretty much all of the sciences. I did math, I did engineering, physics, chemistry, biology, and astronomy. So you can select courses, right? So I just made sure to select. We had, I think it was 5 courses per session. So before Christmas, is September to December, and then after Christmas, January to June. So I just made sure that in those 10 courses in that one year, I had to take for all the sciences, you need to take math. So that was a no brainer. And I made sure I had at least one engineering course, one physics, one chemistry, one biology, and one astronomy. And some of them I had two. And right away, like, I mean, math was kind of a basis for everything. So I didn't really had a choice. That math was kind of the basis. Biology felt too repetitive. It was like learn something and then you just recite it, like you just regurgitate it, and that really wasn't my jam. Chemistry felt a bit too strict for me. Engineering was too restrictive. They're all great sciences, and we all have different personalities, right? So um, every science or every subject will fit a certain type of personality, but that just wasn't me. So that left me with physics and astronomy, which were the perfect amount of problem solving, freedom, and creativity for me. Everything was so exciting. It was what I felt welcomed. It was challenging enough. So that's what I ended up choosing. Really, it just I tried most of the sciences, and the one that felt the most right to me was physics and astronomy. So that's what I stuck with. And in hindsight, now, like going with the way that I felt in my heart, it was really the best choice for me. And in life, that's one of the things that I've learned. Like if something doesn't feel right, it there's a chance that it might not be. If you don't feel really happy, then maybe that's a sign that you need to look elsewhere, try something else, and then eventually you'll land on something that you really truly enjoy. And through my university, though, I really struggled. Like, I loved it, but I struggled. I failed a few courses and I had to try them again. One of them I failed twice. I was even on academic probation a couple of times, and that means that if you don't do better, the school's going to kick you out. So, and I was a straight A student in high school. It was quite a shock for me. But like I said, I loved what I was doing so much that I didn't let that discourage me and continued and persisted. And ultimately in life, that's what's important, right? Perseverance. You want to keep going despite the adversities and the difficulties. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be failures in your personal life, in your professional life. You just have to keep going. Life doesn't end there. It just get up, try again, fail again, try again, fail again, and succeed. And that's what I did at university. At that time, I actually had to work for my studies and my housing. Uh, I had no one paying for me, and I had one scholarship, but it wasn't nearly enough. So I joined the military reserves, which ensured that part of my that I had a job part time. Excuse me. That I had a job part time during the school year, and also that I had a full time job during the summer. So I kind of played it safe. I probably could have asked some professors for some internships with some companies, but this was about like 18 years ago, and it wasn't as well developed as it is now. But I probably could have found some things if I had looked a bit more. But being in the naval reserves really like gave me some financial security, which I really needed at that time. And there was a monetary cash back every year for tuition as well, so that really helped support me through my financially through my degree. And I needed a bit more, so I also worked at McDonald's. There was no shame at working in fast food restaurants and coffee shops. It's really, really valuable experience. And as you'll see later on in my story, it actually ended up working out really well for me because you learn super valuable skills like how to deal with difficult customers and not public, customer service, and how to work as a part of a team in a fast-paced environment. So there's so many valuable skills that you can learn working in coffee shops and restoration that it's super valuable, not to be undermined. Um, so yes, I worked at McDonald's education and also as a translator for a small nonprofit organization. So once in a while they would call me and then I'd translate some work. So I actually did quite various kinds of jobs. Um, After my degree, I didn't know what to do with it. I mean, it's not like companies post jobs called astrophysicist needed. Unless you want to stay in a university and do a master's degree and a PhD and become an academic, a researcher, which is, beautiful job. I probably should have stayed in academia, to be honest, now that I know myself more. I would have loved to do research as a career, but it wasn't introduced to me as an option. And honestly, at the time, I was very young and it didn't cross my mind. So then that left me with the question, what does one do in Canada as an astrophysicist with a bachelor's degree, but not in academia? That was the question. And I had no idea, no idea. Most jobs that I found asked for an engineering degree and at least 5 years of experience, which again, I just graduated, I didn't have. So I started working at a second cup. So I went back to restaurants and coffee shops. I started working at second cup, and again, really valuable experience. But at this time, since I had already learned, like some valuable skills working at McDonald's in the military, I was focusing more on building relationships and networking because those people could potentially eventually help me, find a job, be a good reference for me. So I started working and building my relationships with my employers. Excuse me. My dad worked for Rio Tinto Alcan at the time, and he got me to talk to his colleague, who was the human resources director, to help me make some sort of like career plan because I had no idea where to start. I had no idea what a career plan was that you're supposed to like sort of have some sort of direction or dream or aspiration as to what you could potentially be. Like, do you want to do management? Do you want to be more a technical person? Is there a particular company you'd like to work for? I honestly, like, I had no idea. So I was really glad for that help. She advised me to get essentially into any company at any really low level, either like as a volunteer, as an intern. Like my dad ended up one of the directors of director generals at Rio Tinto Alcan, and he started as the janitor. So, once you're inside a company, first of all, you start creating relationships with people inside the company, and then you can more easily identify if there's opportunities that would be valuable for you. And there's job postings that oftentimes are only internal to employees. So that was my strategy: get into a company, an institution at the lower level, and then find a way back to astronomy or physics or a science related field. Um, so I had actually heard about working for the federal government, having good benefits and job stability through a friend. So I thought it might be a good start, especially since I knew that I wanted children at some point, and the financial stability was really something that I wanted. The same friend also mentioned something about space related work in the federal government. So on a whim, I decided that's what I would aim for, not really knowing what a career plan really meant or how I would even get there. So I went to a placement agency. I think it was Quantum, and they found me a contract working at Health Canada in the finance department as an administrative assistant. So I left Second Cup, and then I became an administrative assistant for the federal government. This turned into another contract, and then another contract, and another contract, all in different departments. Sorry, just keep coughing. Eventually, I started applying to official job postings, and I got my very first official permanent job at Transport Canada. This took about 4 years. I worked there for 6 years, always as an administrative assistant. So really, I was printing paper, answering the phone, entering data in spreadsheets, really, really basic work. It was all fine, and actually, it was perfect timing for me while I was having my children. Not too stressful, good working hours. After a while, though, I started to feel pretty bad. I mean, I had done an astrophysics degree, and I wasn't using any of what I learned, really. So I started looking for jobs again. When I found a posting for a RadarSat 2 mission planner, and because I was bilingual, I had a degree in physics, I had customer service experience from coffee shops, McDonald's, and Second Cup, and also because I had operations experience from my military background, I got the job. It's funny how all of those little jobs that I never would have thought ended up working out for me. So really, like, you never know, right? Your career path or your life path might seem super unlinear, like zigzagging all over the place. Things are not related, and that is still fine. Like, you can still get a really, really fun and fulfilling job later on. Like, there's no right way to do it. All paths are good. I have to say, though, I did have some really good references from people I had worked for. Like I said, when I worked at Second Cup, I started building relationships with people, which probably helped a lot too. So make sure you build relationships. Eventually, I started talking to people about my love for astronomy inside the organization that I was in. And I was eventually offered a job in the same office as program scientist in space astronomy to act as deputy mission manager for the Canadian part of the James Webb Space Telescope mission. A dream job that I didn't even know I wanted came true. It didn't even exist. Okay. The job was actually created for me in the organization. Um, so like, even if I had dreamed of doing that at some point, it might not have even have happened. Like, it didn't even exist until a few years ago. So, like I said, it's good to have goals. It's fine to zigzag around, and things will get clearer as you move forward on your path. So at that time, though, when I got that job working for the James Webb Space Telescope mission, like I said, they created a job for me, right? So it wasn't a permanent spot in my new workplace. So recently, I actually continued looking for work, and I accepted a permanent job in the same workplace as a program officer for Smart Earth. And that's an initiative that aims to enable downstream Earth observation innovation. So using Earth observation data to make and build new technologies for the future. So that's where I am now. And my life is far from over, as I just have 12 years, 13 years of career. So I still have more than half my career to go. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more zigzagging, a lot of new adventures that I never thought would happen, probably some failures, probably some challenges along the way, but definitely some celebrations, I'm sure. So as you can see, like I was saying, no one road is the same. You don't have to figure everything out right now. You don't need to know everything either. And your path doesn't have to be straight or linear. It's totally okay to not know what you want or where to go. It's totally okay to fail and to lose. It's all going to work out in the end. I know it. So, a few words of advice. Network. Talk to people, friends, family, professors, colleagues, people around you at in Cochrane during the festival. Like, just talk, network, get people's LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you can, phone numbers, I don't know, emails, and keep in touch with them, because they could be people that will offer you new opportunities, or you could be the one that will offer them new opportunities. Try to find some mentors. A mentor is somebody that will give you advice. So it can be anybody. Again, it could be your friend, it could be your family, it could be colleagues. There are some mentors that are like officially mentors that will, that's part of their job. So find mentors, people that will give you advice and help guide you. contracts and little jobs. Seriously, nothing is below you. Whatever little job that you can take here and there will add value to your life. It will add baggage to your, resume, and it'll create new networks and new possibilities. So don't be afraid to take those little jobs and those little contracts, and never ever give up. Always remember, there's value in every opportunity, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, or how silly and crazy it may be. The journey is really what matters, not the destination. Always follow your heart, be true to what brings you joy, and most importantly, dare to dream. So that's it. Do you have any questions?
Hi. So I wanted to say thank you for the presentation. It was really inspiring to hear. I'm a student here at the event, participating in the rocket competition, and I think some people need to hear the way you got where you are, because sometimes we don't see the opportunities that are around us, and it's just really nice to hear that for and try and share it with people around us.
Thank you. I'm glad that it was helpful. I'm always, when you fail, or when you don't know where you're going, or you don't feel like you're good enough. And honestly, after speaking to people and being open about it, I realized that pretty much all of us feel the exact same way, like everybody.
We're all
So,
feeling lost at some
but it's
point, not really
exactly.
knowing where we're going.
So it really just takes, somebody to step up and actually start talking about it, and then people hopefully see themselves and are inspired to keep going despite the adversities that are happening in their career or life.
Yeah. So I thank you for your presentation. I think this is it for this morning. I'm gonna for the other speakers, if you hear me, we're gonna contact you about what happened. We had technical difficulties with our reception and all kinds of things. We're in the middle of the woods, so I wanted to thank you all for still showing up in a way, and we'll contact you about what about the event. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.